I'm the branch manager, you know. I can't be bothered with poor folks like you. Just wait over there, will ya?
I watched as he shooed them away with a dismissive wave. Grandpa's eyes locked onto him in anger. "Dan, this isn't good." I tried to stop Grandpa, but it was too late. Grandpa slammed the counter and shouted. Shortly after, that branch manager got his just desserts. "My name is Mike Smith. I work from home as a freelance web designer. My family consists of 5 people, my parents, my brother, and we also live with my grandpa. I'm not sure if Grandpa knows that I work from home, but he often asks me to do chores for him. Well, thinking back to when I was a kid, he used to drive me to school and lessons, gave me my allowance, so doing these tasks for him now isn't really a big deal. Since I was young, I've admired my grandpa for his strength and knowledge. He's good at carpentry and gardening. Even now, I still look up to him. He's nearing 80, but he's as cool as ever. Today, as usual, he's out tending to his hobby garden."
Mike, I need a favor.
"What is it? I just finished a part of my work, so I'm free now." Wiping his sweat with a towel, probably just coming in from the garden, Grandpa made his request.
I've been invited to a wedding tomorrow, but I totally forgot to buy the wedding. Can you drive me to the bank?
I glanced at the clock. It was showing 2 p.m. We were nearing the closing time for the bank's counters, and considering wedding gifts, I needed to buy something for the new couple, which should be helpful and luxurious from their wish list. With that thought, I quickly agreed, and we headed to the bank. Grandpa used to drive, but he gave up his license last year. With all the news about accidents involving older drivers, he decided it was better to give it up than be a burden. Probably, it was harder after Grandma passed. He often said that I couldn't drive without someone to be with me. I remember the day he proudly told me that he'd given up his license, and from then on, I'd be his chauffeur. The bank was crowded, and I braced myself for a long wait. Meanwhile, Grandpa had bumped into some acquaintances and was deeply engrossed in conversation. Grandpa's token number was 75, and the number currently being served was 50. I realized we might be here for a while and scanned the surroundings. It seemed like a small-town bank, with a majority of elderly clients. Many were engaging bank employees with various questions. Just as I was about to pull out my phone to kill time, a loud voice emanated from one of the counters.
You can't withdraw money with this debit card. Bring another one, like I've been telling you.
There stood a bank teller, wearing glasses and shaking his hefty belly, raising his voice at an elderly man. This man, dressed in a noticeably high-end suit and watch, lacked any hint of class. The old man, shouted at by him, left the bank looking quite dejected. The next person to be called was an intimidating middle-aged man wearing a gold necklace. He had a lot of tattoos and wore sunglasses. He looked like the stereotypical mobster. Now, the teller was serving him with extreme politeness and lots of bowing. It's quite rare to see someone change their attitude so drastically based on the customer. My gaze shifted to the ATM, and there was a young lady bank employee. She was patiently teaching an elderly woman how to use it. Given she's wearing a uniform, she must be a bank employee too. Her gentle smile while assisting customers tells that not all employees at this bank behaved like the rude male teller. Several minutes passed. As the bank was about to close, the waiting number was around the 70s. Then I noticed something odd. The rude teller's counter was displaying number 76. He seemingly skipped Grandpa's 75. During a brief lull, I approached the teller. "Excuse me, my number is 75, but it seems like it was skipped." The teller looked annoyed by my question. His name tag read John Nelson. I was curious to see how he would treat me. As expected, he responded dismissively to me, dressed casually in a t-shirt and jeans.
Oh, there wasn't a mistake. There's a priority system here?
Priority system?
Yeah. Bigger transactions are more beneficial for us. Besides, country folks like him probably have plenty of time, right? Just let him wait.
I was lost in what I wanted to say because of the teller's rude attitude. Then John was calling over another customer and essentially shooing me away. Angered by his condescending attitude, I returned to Grandpa's seat. Grandpa was patiently waiting while reading a book.
Mike, what happened?
Well, when I asked the teller why your number got skipped, he told me that country folks probably have plenty of time, so you guys can wait. It pissed me off.
That's ridiculous.
This branch got a new manager recently. The previous one was nice, but given how this new one lets John behave, I'm not sure about him.
Yeah, sudden changes often hint at underlying issues.
As we chatted, the kind young lady bank employee from the ATM approached us. Her name tag read Emily Mishra.
"I'm sorry for the wait. May I see your number, please? I'll check it for you."
Kneeling to match our eye level, Emily took the number from us. Then she went to John to verify, but he seemed to berate her. I couldn't help but rush over to confront him. "What's the issue?" Seeing me, John sighed loudly.
What is it? You again? Can't you wait just a little while?
But they have been waiting for quite some time.
Quiet down. I told you there's a hierarchy to customers, didn't I?
John interrupted Emily's words with that remark.
I've been saying to prioritize customers who are likely to be profitable for our bank. Consider my orders as coming from the higher-ups at the bank. We can put people like the elderly living off their pensions in the countryside on the back burner.
I was dumbfounded by his audacity. To my side, Grandpa was sizing up the situation. As John gave Grandpa a mocking look, he continued,
Come on. Elderly folks from places like this probably just hoard their pensions. They're not a big deal for the bank. If you were a banker, you'd be more adaptable. The elderly have plenty of time on their hands anyway. They can wait.
I couldn't believe he was a banker with that attitude and retorted, "Are you even a banker? I've never heard of a banker discriminating against customers."
Shut up. I'm the branch manager, and my dad is the bank CEO. The way I do things is the way this bank does things. I can't be bothered with poor folks like you. Just wait your turn.
Watching John waving his hand, Grandpa's eyes fixed on him. This is not good. I tried to stop Grandpa, but it was too late. Grandpa slammed the counter and shouted,
I can't trust a bank with a manager like you. I'll be moving all my deposits, as well as my company's, elsewhere. Arrange the full amount now.
With a stern voice, Grandpa made his demand. John looked startled momentarily, but then he returned to his condescending smirk. He checked Grandpa's bank account,
You're all talk. There probably isn't.
but his face started turning paler by the second. His face had gone beyond pale, looking almost ashen.
What?
What's wrong? Can't you handle a poor person's savings? I can wait however long it takes. Just get it ready.
Grandpa said this and heavily sat in the waiting room chair. John's face turned pale blue. It's no wonder. Grandpa is the CEO of a certain company. He's approaching 80, but he's still going strong. He might look like any ordinary elderly man, but when he's at work, he's an imposing figure and quite intimidating. I don't know the details, but his personal assets must be in the several $million, and the company's funds even more. His company, established by him, is quite big around here and contributes a lot to the community, and when he walks around town, many people greet him, and it can take him about 30 minutes to walk just 300 feet. So he was chatting with various acquaintances earlier, but it seems the branch manager didn't know about it. He's new to the job, so maybe that can't be helped, but the previous manager had visited our house when he took the position. Maybe John just didn't care enough. It could be said that John's disregard for customers led to this situation. Without saying a word, Grandpa continued to glare at John, as if not missing a single move. That look must have been absolutely terrifying to anyone on the receiving end of it. I remember when I was little, getting scolded by my grandpa was downright scary, so I can totally relate to that feeling.
Off.
Manager,
In apparent terror of Grandpa, John screamed and bolted from the place, running out of the bank. He recklessly started running, bolting out of the store.
He ran away. Mike, let's contact the main office. That guy said he was the CEO's son. We need to clean all the dirt from under the rug completely.
Grandpa said with a smirk. Once he gets like this, nothing can stop Grandpa. He's truly a force to be reckoned with. I was about to call the main office when someone approached us. It was Emily.
sir, I deeply apologize for our manager's behavior. I know it's impertinent, but could we have a moment of your time?
What? After that, we would learn shocking facts from her. We decided we would take down John completely. We then gathered various documents and prepared everything to close our accounts and headed to the bank's main office. Grandpa had already scheduled an appointment with the bank CEO. Dressed in suits, both Grandpa and I made sure to present ourselves impeccably. Besides my grandpa and me, there were two others. Slightly stocky employees also joined us. They were there for added security. We didn't take my usual car, but instead rode in a black luxury car reserved for the CEO. Upon arriving at the main office, the bank president greeted us with a smile and led us to a meeting room. Sitting there with a fake smile was probably John's father, Paul Nelson. Next to him, in stark contrast to before, was branch manager John with a confident smile, and behind him stood two men in black suits, looking like bodyguards.
I'm truly sorry for the inconvenience. It seems my foolish son has caused you some trouble.
I deeply apologize for the other day. I have reflected on my actions. Please understand.
John Nelson lowered his head. It sounded like a superficial and insincere apology. People don't change that easily, I thought to myself. I took out the documents I had prepared from my bag and spread them out on the desk.
I have prepared the cancellation documents here. From now on, we will no longer do business with you. My decision is final, and I won't change my mind. You not only insulted me, but also insulted the elderly pensioners in Nebraska and the people living there. I can't trust someone like you, especially if they're the son of the bank president.
At Grandpa's words, Paul's smile tightened. John's smile had completely disappeared, and he looked pale and downcast. However, as expected from someone who had risen to the top of a bank, Paul quickly composed himself and began speaking in a soothing voice.
Sir, I deeply apologize for John's behavior. I know it's impertinent, but could we have a moment of your time?
The president took out a piece of paper from his pocket and placed it on the desk. It was a check for $10 million. It was clearly a bribe. A deep furrow appeared between Grandpa's brows.
I'm not someone you can easily fool.
If you say it's not enough, I'll add more. I hope this will appease your anger.
Paul's hands rubbing together, trying to get closer to Grandpa, looked utterly brown-noser. I was getting fed up and just wanted to wrap things up and leave.
This isn't about the money. Can't you even understand that?
Of course, I'll make John resign, but this check is a gesture of my goodwill.
Wait, Dad. Why am I resigning?
Quiet. It's your responsibility.
But wasn't it your policy to increase profits? My branch had good sales? Wasn't that the answer?
Just shut up. If you hadn't messed up, we wouldn't be in this mess. There must have been a better way.
Excuse me, can I say something? I interrupted the bickering father and son. Regarding the profits your son mentioned, we've received complaints from the residents of Nebraska about aggressive sales tactics for financial products like investment trusts and insurance. Some people even mentioned being scammed into signing contracts. I've consolidated these complaints and consulted with the Better Business Bureau. I expect the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to intervene soon.
What?
I placed a printout listing the complaints on the desk. Paul snatched it up to check the contents. I assume many of your clients will be canceling their bank accounts soon, so you better be prepared. And now, here comes the main part. I slowly took out my tablet and began navigating. Displayed were a series of numbers. See this? Here, here, and here too. These are unauthorized withdrawals.
What do you mean?
Don't you get it? These are withdrawal records from your bank.
What? How do you have that data?
Well, who knows? I tried to play dumb with a smirk, but the two in front of me were turning red and then pale. Yes, this data was crucial evidence of the bank's wrongdoing. They had created fictitious accounts in John's branch and deposited money into them, evidence of embezzlement. Furthermore, I operated my tablet again, and these are John's stock trading records. On several occasions, he bought a large number of stocks just before their prices rose and then sold them all after the increase. It's so predictable it's almost funny. This is insider trading, isn't it? Did you leak information to your son, Paul? I also have evidence here. You should be careful with your email exchanges. If you don't delete them regularly, you never know who might read them. Displayed on the tablet were John's email records. Leaving such evidence behind when committing wrongdoings was plain naive. This information was given to me by someone. Emily Mishra worked at another bank and was essentially a spy. She had sensed something fishy about Paul and John and was discreetly aiming to bring them down. She had accessed John's computer, saved the records, and sent the data to me. Moreover, I obtained the necessary data by hacking based on that information. I am a white hat hacker who also collaborates with the cybercrime division of the FBI. I received a request from the FBI to gather information. Thanks to Emily, a collaborator this time, things progressed easily. I consulted with a trusted FBI agent and successfully exposed the wrongdoing. Of course, this evidence has also been handed over to the FBI. So, agents with arrest warrants should be arriving here soon. When I relayed this, Paul collapsed to his knees as if defeated.
It's over.
The outside of the room suddenly became noisy. It seems the agents have arrived. The two men in front of me were so shocked they could only let out silent screams. The next day, the front pages of newspapers were all about the scandal involving the local bank's CEO and his son. It was even covered on national news, making me realize how big of an issue it was. Due to the CEO's misconduct and policies that were too profit-focused, the bank's reputation plummeted. Eventually, it was decided that it would be merged with a rival bank. Of course, that bank was the one where Emily had worked. In the end, whether it was the arrest of the CEO and his son that put Grandpa at ease or not, he didn't move his deposit to another company. Well, it'd involve a significant amount of money, so maybe that was for the best. While glancing at the talk show discussing the bank's scandal, Grandpa and I were sipping our tea. I slowly drank the piping hot tea and nibbled on some cookies. Even though Grandpa turned 80 this year, he still had strong teeth to crunch on hard cookies. He's so lively that I'm sure he'll live a long life. I hope so. I want him to live up to around 150.
By the way, Mike, how's Emily doing?
Upon hearing Grandpa's words, I almost spit out my tea. But Grandpa, why do you ask?
There's nothing I don't know, so how's she?
Oh, we just text on Messenger, that's all. Since then, I exchanged contacts with Emily and became friends. She's considerate and has a great sense of humor, so it's always fun talking to her. Right now, she's one of my good friends.
You could at least invite her for dinner, right? I'd love to hold my great-grandchild.
All right. You're going to live another 70 years, right, Grandpa? Maybe even see your great-grandchild's child.
Well, as much as I'd like to think so, 150 years might be pushing it. But with the advancements in medicine, who knows?
It seems Grandpa has plans to live a long life. I'd love to see him in the Guinness World Records. Before I knew it, the news had moved on to another topic. Upon noticing, Grandpa, with a huff, stood up and grabbed his straw hat for the garden. Looking at him, he's just a regular old man, and I'd never guessed the authority he once held. He's kind to those around him and well-liked, but when it comes down to it, he's super cool. I hope to be like Grandpa someday. I never want to be blinded by money, look down on others, or commit crimes. I made a silent vow to become an upright person, just like Grandpa, someone even his own grandchildren can look up to.